I always thought love was supposed to bring people together, not tear them apart. That when two people found each other, it was the kind of connection that could overcome anything: status, wealth, background, all of it. I believed in that kind of love. The kind that makes you feel seen, chosen, safe. And for a while I thought I had it. I thought that was what my relationship with Emily was. But sometimes what feels like love is just manipulation wrapped in charm. And sometimes the people you're marrying into are the ones who ruin everything. Emily and I met in college. She was graceful, smart, quick-witted, and carried herself like someone who had grown up in a world that taught her she belonged at the top. She came from money. Old money. Her family ran businesses I had only read about in the financial pages. Meanwhile, I was the scholarship kid, working weekends, budgeting ramen and textbooks, doing everything I could to build a life from the ground up. But Emily never made me feel small. Not in the beginning. We clicked immediately. Late-night conversations turned into long walks, and before I knew it, we were inseparable. She said she admired how grounded I was. I admired her ability to see beyond the life she came from, or so I thought. Our love grew quickly, but I made a point not to rush into marriage. I knew what I wanted from life, and I knew that when I proposed it had to be real, permanent. And 2 years after graduation, I bought the ring. It was modest by her family's standards, but it was paid for in full by me. That meant something. Emily said yes with tears in her eyes. We held each other, and promised this would be the beginning of everything we'd dreamed of. But as soon as the engagement was announced, the fairy tale started to crack. Her parents, William and Karen, invited me over for dinner. Not Emily, just me. I walked into that house thinking they wanted to congratulate me. Instead, I walked into a business negotiation. Her father sat across from me in a dark paneled study, swirling whiskey, and smiling like a man who already knew how the conversation would go. "We need to protect our daughter," he said. "This isn't personal, it's just protocol." Then he slid a document across the table, 10 pages of legal language that boiled down to one thing: if Emily and I divorced, I would walk away with nothing. No assets, no support, not even the house we were supposed to live in together. I blinked at the paper, unsure if I'd heard him right. "You want me to sign a prenup that leaves me with nothing?" I asked. He smiled. "You're marrying into legacy," he said. "Our family has expectations. You'll be taken care of, as long as you do your part." I asked what that meant. He leaned in and said, "Make her happy. Keep her happy. That's all." I felt sick. This wasn't protection. It was control. A leash dressed up in fine print. I told him I needed to think about it. He said, "Of course," and walked me out like we'd just shared cigars. Emily called me that night, her voice nervous. "Did you talk to my dad?" I said I had. There was a pause, then she whispered, "Please just sign it. It'll make everything easier." That was the moment I felt it. Something I hadn't let myself feel before. Fear, not of losing her, but of what I was walking into. A marriage where I'd never be seen as an equal. A family that saw me as an intruder. They were willing to tolerate only on their terms. And Emily, she wasn't standing beside me. She was standing behind them. The next week, her mother invited me to brunch. Just her and me. She didn't even wait for the coffee to arrive. "You don't want to make this harder than it has to be," she said, dabbing the corners of her mouth with a linen napkin. "Marrying up comes with rules. If you want to be part of this family, you'll sign the prenup and keep quiet. It's that simple." I looked at her, trying to find some trace of kindness. There was none. I asked Emily again, "Do you want me to sign this?" And she said something I'll never forget. "I don't want to fight with my parents. Not I believe in us. Not I'll stand by you. Just fear of confrontation. Fear of rocking the boat." And I realized then that I was alone. I always had been. I just hadn't seen it until the pen was in my hand. I didn't sign it. Not that day. Not the next. But the pressure didn't stop. Emily started changing. Little things. Cold silences. "You're making this difficult," she said one night. "You're acting like this is a trap." I told her it was a trap. She said, "You don't trust me." I said, "I don't trust them." And then I asked the question I wasn't ready to hear the answer to. "If the roles were reversed, would you sign it?" She didn't answer. Weeks passed. The wedding date crept closer. Her family started calling my family, whispering that I was being difficult, that I was trying to take advantage of her. They painted me like a gold digger, even though I'd never taken a dime from any of them. Not for rent, not for bills, not for anything. But none of that mattered. They weren't trying to protect Emily's heart. They were protecting their empire. And through all of it, Emily said nothing. So I made a choice, a quiet one. I started packing the pieces of my life, the things I had built alone, my books, my notebooks, my old laptop. I canceled the tux rental. I called off the cater. I booked a flight out of town for the night before the wedding. I didn't tell anyone. I just disappeared. The night before the ceremony, I left a letter at her door, not cruel, not angry, just honest. I can't marry into a family that sees me as a threat, I wrote, and I can't marry someone who won't stand up for me. I love you, but I love myself too, and I won't walk into a life built on imbalance and fear. The fallout was massive. Her parents called me every name in the book: coward, user, failure. Emily sent one text: I wish you'd at least said goodbye. But I had. In that letter, in every silent moment, she watched her family tear me down and said nothing. I rebuilt my life slowly, took a new job, moved to a quieter town. For months I didn't tell anyone what had happened. I felt ashamed, like I'd failed. But now, looking back, I know I didn't fail. I chose peace over performance. I chose self-respect over a life of walking on eggshells. The truth is, some people want a partner, others want an accessory, and I refuse to be bought, dressed up, and shelved like a trophy. I deserved a partner who stood by me, who saw me as a man, not a project, and I wasn't going to sign away my dignity just to keep a wedding date. So yes, my fiancé's family forced a prenup that said I'd get nothing, and in return, I gave them exactly what they feared most. I walked away with everything that mattered: my freedom.